What is up, everybody? I am HoopsandHipHop, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokeblock Podcast. As always, I hope you guys are all staying safe. Hopefully you're staying inside and just doing what you can do to help us all get through this crazy time together. Last week, I attempted to provide some entertainment for you on this podcast by talking about stupid things that I believed about Pokemon as a kid, whether it was believing that Lugia was somehow related to Latios and Latios, and they were possibly an evolution, or a pre-evolution to Lugia, or the fact that I believed that Porygon was an evolution. I believed a lot of stupid things about Pokemon when I was a youngster. So if you didn't listen to that podcast, you can check it out in the playlist, as well as any of the other episodes you missed. The podcasts are really, a good type of thing to just be able to go back and listen to it anytime. If you're new to the podcast, haven't listened to them all, definitely something good to just have on in the background, whether you're cooking, playing games, whatever. Just a good way to occupy your time while we're all stuck inside. And today, in today's episode, I thought it would be fun to... This is yet another, sort of video topic that I considered doing on my own channel, but I thought it would be better as a podcast, so I'm converting it over here, and that is sort of defending hated Pokemon that I don't believe deserve the hate. Because there are some Pokemon, there's some Pokemon out there, as we all know as Pokemon fans, that are more or less seen as punching bags. The general consensus is that they are bad Pokemon, or that they suck, or the popular opinion is that they are just bad Pokemon. And while I will agree on some Pokemon that deserve that label, or I can see why they would get that label, so I can say it's somewhat justified or vindicated or whatever, even though everyone has their own personal opinion, there are some Pokemon out there that just get wailed on and just get attacked over and over and over again, and I'm just sitting here why? Why are you hurting this poor baby? There's nothing wrong with this Pokemon. There are several Pokemon that are like that, I swear, I promise. And it's not the kind of, I don't know, I guess, once again, everyone has a different opinion, but, it's the kind of Pokemon that I'm just I just do not understand why they are disliked the way they are. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And so that is what I'm here to do. I'm here to bring up these Pokemon and basically just advocate for them receiving a little more love and say that the hate that they get is not deserved. And so that's what we're going to be doing, and it's going to be awesome. But before we do that, I do have to thank our lovely sponsors that keep the show running. They provide support to us and just help us keep things moving for the podcast, for the channel. It's amazing. So we got to shout them out. And with that said, today's episode is brought to you by the Tax Defense Group. Tax season is here, and that means it's time to file. Instead of going through the hassle of walking to an H&R Block, you can actually call the experts at the Tax Defense Group. They can handle your tax filing anywhere. Also, for a limited time, if you are a W-2 employee, you can save half off of your filing. All you have to do is call the Tax Defense Group before April 15th, which is coming up, by the way, and mention that you heard this ad on UCast Studios. So go ahead and call the Tax Defense Group today at 800-850-7973. That number again is 800-850-7973, and you can visit them online at thetaxdefensegroup.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Writer Junkie. There are millions of good paying jobs out there, and what might be holding you back from getting one of them is having an up-to-date, well-written resume. Writer Junkie offers a resume writing service for the low cost of just $145, and with only a 3-day turnaround, you cannot beat that price and delivery time. So go ahead and call Writer Junkie today at 805-587-7966, and you can visit them online at writerjunkie.com. Mention that you heard this ad on UCast Studios, and they will get right to work. Okay, so hated Pokemon that don't deserve it. I don't really have a set number of Pokemon that I'm going to be talking about. I just have a handful, and we're just going to go through as many of them as we can in the amount of time that we have available to us. And the first one I want to talk about, let's see. I have a list here, so I gotta decide which one I wanna go for. Okay, I know which one I'm gonna go for. Lumineon and Finneon. I don't know what it is with these Pokemon, but they are always talked about as the most like garbage water type, the most lame water type, like they suck, they're terrible, like blah blah, like almost every insult in the book, like they're forgettable, like everything that you could throw at these Pokemon are thrown at them, almost as if there's some kind of like Magikarp level of Pokemon. And Magikarp even has like the ironic like appeal to it in that it's so terrible that everyone loves it just because it's trying so hard, yet it's so worthless. So everyone just loves it because of how bad it is. But Finneon and Lumineon, they don't get any of that. They just get like all the hate and stuff. And I just don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. First off, Finneon, both of them are, I would say, even if they're just pure water type, even if they're just fish, they still have interesting designs. They have interesting color schemes. Lumineon in particular has an interesting sort of body shape going on with it. I really love how Finneon's its tail is kind of like, they're like butterfly wings, kind of. It's got fins that look like butterfly wings. They just have interesting looking appearances. And even if they're not like super good competitively, I still think they're well-designed Pokemon. Like, not every Pokemon in the world has to be based off some, like, sea serpent Greek god that is water, fire, grass, rock, electric type and can basically have 700 base stats on every single freaking individual stat. Not all of them have to be just behemoths. If they were all behemoths, like, Pokemon wouldn't be believable or fun, for that matter. They all have to have, like, drastically varying shapes and sizes because that's what makes the world believable. It wouldn't be fun if they were all super, super powerful. So, and that's another thing that that's one of my super, super pet peeves about Pokemon, and when it comes to people's opinions and, like, why they don't like Pokemon or whatever, is that so many Pokemon, or so many fans, I should say, judge Pokemon solely and exclusively on their competitive viability. They don't consider any other factors, and if they just can't do competitive for whatever reason, they'll say, that Pokemon is trash, that Pokemon is garbage, can't do anything. Like, do you hear yourself? Like, people like that sound like some, like, evil, like, captive, like, poacher or breeder that is literally only interested in the Pokemon for the financial or monetary or material gain that it can bring to them. Like, that's the kind of person you sound like when you only judge a Pokemon based on its competitive viability. That is one of my worst Pokemon pet peeves ever. I hate that. So, with that said, even though Finneon and Lumineon aren't the best competitive Pokemon in the world, that doesn't mean anything. Like, look at them. They're cute, they're adorable, they're really interesting looking. They're certainly better than Goldeen and Seeking. They're certainly better than Basculin, for instance. There are a lot of other water type Pokemon and similar fish-based Pokemon that they look way better than design-wise. Like, they're just visually more appealing Pokemon. So I really don't get, I've never understood why they've received the hate that they deserve, because they're not boring-looking Pokemon by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, they're pure water type, but there's a million pure water types out there, and like I said, they might not be the best competitive Pokemon ever, but if you're judging them and, like, judging their worth solely based on competitive viability, that's garbage. Like, that's very, very awful of you as a human being. Not to get real or anything, but, I mean, you kind of probably should look yourself in the mirror if that's what you're doing. Not to say that you can't judge Pokemon on competitive viability, but it's not the only thing you should do. Like, you could say, yeah, Lumineon isn't a good Pokemon competitively. It's kind of sucks competitively, but it's cute. That's how you should phrase it. You shouldn't phrase it, this thing can't fight my battles, so I'm going to throw it in the garbage. No, that sounds awful, and that's what you're saying when you act like that. So, just my friendly PSA for the day. The next Pokemon I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about another one. I do have some on here that I mentioned from last week's episode, so I'm going to try and avoid those if I can, because we already talked about them, but we'll hold them in our back pocket if we need them. Anyways, though, the next Pokemon I'm going to talk about is kind of interesting in this regard because I wouldn't say it's like Lumineon in terms of being just like wailed on or anything like that, but I have seen a significant amount of just like, I don't know, just like a humph type of attitude toward this Pokemon. Like people just don't care. They look the other way. They're just like, meh, like that kind of opinion. And that would be Volcanion. Like I haven't seen a ton of people who outright hate this Pokemon, but I have seen some people who are like, yeah, this Pokemon sucks. It's terrible. And then in general, I don't know. I just have seen that kind of like type of opinion where people don't really care about Volcanion. And then to make things worse, while this isn't really the fault, I would say, of people's opinions, if this could, I'm pretty sure this is still right, but at one point, Volcanion's movie was the lowest grossing Pokemon movie ever. At one point, it very well could still be the case, but at one point it was the lowest grossing Pokemon movie ever, and it was also the last one that saw Ash and all of his friends and stuff. Basically, it's the last one that took place in the continuity of the main anime series, because after that is when they started doing the I Choose You movies and basically putting the movies in a different universe than the main series. So it's kind of like even the anime writers themselves were like, oh my gosh, Volcanion just gave us the lowest amount of money we've ever had on a Pokemon movie. This thing sucks. We've got to completely change our philosophy on how we write movies because of Volcanion. And it's just kind of like, man, it just seems to be getting like the short end of the stick, which you wouldn't expect given that A, it's a mythical Pokemon, and B, it's a fire water type. Like that's a type we wanted for a long time, and it's a really freaking cool type at the same time. So, and like I just think it looks really cool in general. Like the concept of like pulling off a fire water type by making it steam based is really cool, and then just its concept, its design, its appearance in general, where it kind of looks half organic, half like mechanical almost. It just has a really, really interesting look to it. And it's really cool. It's easily one of my favorite legendaries or mythicals, and I know there's other people out there that feel the same way, because like I said, this situation isn't as bad as Lumineon and Finneon that I talked about previously, or some of the others we're going to talk about. So I know it's not all bad for Volcanion, but it does kind of, I have been getting that sense lately that people are just like, meh, man, but Volcanion, it looks weird. No, it's cool. Appreciate. Show some respect. It's very, very cool. And that's all I have to say about that. Moving on, though, I'm going to talk about a big one. This is one that I just had barely thought about before I started this recording. And it's kind of one that I've wanted to talk about, so this is almost like a confession, because I've wanted to talk about this one for a while and sort of state my true opinion, but I just never have. Partly because like I kind of just decided to lay low on it, but also just because there wasn't a time or place that I could really state that opinion until now. So we are letting it all out on the table. We are about to just like lay some truth bombs here. So, elemental monkeys. You got Pansage, Pansear, and Panpour, the pre-evolutions, and then Simisage, Simisear, and Simipour as the evolutions. These guys are widely regarded as the most hated Pokemon of all time. In fact, in a Japanese poll that was conducted in 2016, I believe, for like the most loved Pokemon or whatever, the best Pokemon, or just basically the favorite Pokemon of the community, and this was in Japan exclusively, but still counts. While Greninja was the winner of that poll, the loser of that poll, the Pokemon that received the absolute least amount of votes, was Simisear. So that's just a good way of showing you how serious the dislike for these Pokemon is. And I am coming out today to say that while I can understand in some cases why people don't like these Pokemon, for the most part, I don't have any problem with them whatsoever. I just don't really get why people... Like, there's part of me that understands it, but there's part of me that just doesn't get it at the same time. So, for instance, explaining this, the one that seems to get the most hate out of any of them is Simisear. People just don't like the way it looks. They think it's bad and competitive once again, but that's just one part of it. That basically they just think everything about this Pokemon is bad. They think it's a knockoff of Infernape. And while I will admit it's definitely like being in Generation 5, coming off Generation 4 where Infernape was, it's definitely kind of like a dollar store Infernape, if you will. But other than that, I'm just sitting here, I'm just like, there's nothing wrong, like, to me, there's nothing wrong about the appearance of Simisear. Like, I don't think it looks ugly, I don't think it looks weird, I don't think it looks unusual. Maybe it's not the best competitively, but once again, like, that doesn't determine the value of a Pokemon. There's so much more to it. And I think it has a decent design. Like, I don't have any problem really with its design. And then I really, really like its pre-evolution, Pansear. And I really like all of the Elemental Monkeys pre-evolutions. Pansage, Pansear, and Pampor. I like them all. I really do. If you didn't know, these Pokemon are they're supposed to be based around the concept of cooking because they're the signature Pokemon of the Striaton triplets, the trio, because they're waiters, they work in a restaurant, blah, blah, blah. So the grass type is supposed to represent the ingredients. Fire type is supposed to represent the heat and the fire you use for cooking. And then the water type are supposed to represent the water that you also use in the cooking. And then if you look at their hands, I want to say this is like on all of them. I'm going to look really quick. But on the pre-evolutions, at least, their hands are created in a way. Yeah, so it's just on the pre-evolutions. It's not really on the evolutions, but on Pansear, Pansage, and Pampor, their hands are meant to look like oven mitts. So basically, they have this whole kitchen, cooking, culinary vibe going on that, with a lot of small details like that you don't really see. And so that part of it is really cool. On the flip side, though, I will say I understand why people don't like it. Simipour, for instance, is my by far least favorite of the three, and that Pokemon is one that I absolutely just despise. So, like I said, like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, in my opinion, with these Pokemon. Simipour is really, really bad, in my opinion, just the way it looks. It's one of those ones that looks weird, it looks strange, it just doesn't look like something I want to look at. But that is the only outlier. Simisage is actually legitimately cool, in my opinion. I think Simisage is cool. Simisear, I don't have, it's my middle, like, my second favorite, I guess. And I don't have any problem with it in terms of the way it looks. I used one on my very first team in Pokemon Black and White, and I liked it. It was cool. Like, I really don't have any problem with it. And then all three of the pre-evolutions I really like a lot. Like, I think Pansear is awesome. I will actually go on record to say that I like Pansear just in terms of its design and its look more than I like Chimchar. Like, Simisear might be a dollar store Infernape, but I like Simisear more than I like Chimchar. And you can take that to the bank. That is my mic drop. I'm not actually going to drop my mic on the ground because I need it for the rest of this recording. But yeah, hardcore opinions right there. I like Simisage, or I like Simisear, or I get them so confused. I like Pansear more than I like Chimchar. Just in terms of design, appearance, just the way it looks. Boom. I still like Chimchar a lot. I really do. I don't hate Chimchar. It's a great Pokemon, but I just like Pansear more, and you can take that to the bank. So, yeah, I just don't understand. And then, yeah, just aside from Simipour, which is genuinely not a good Pokemon, I am uncomfortable just talking about it. I really do like the Elemental Monkeys, and I don't have any problem with them. So, boom, the truth has been spoken. Mics have been dropped. There we are. Beautiful. I'm happy to get this off my chest. But with that being said, I do need to give another quick shout out to our sponsors just to let you guys know that we care about them and that you could really take advantage of their services. Go check out the Tax Defense Group, 800-850-7973. Tax day is sort of coming up, although I heard a rumor that the extension might have been pushed back because of everything that's going on. Don't take my word for that. Look that up before you rely on what I'm saying. But either way, to get this deal, you got to call them soon. So check out that number. And then Writer Junkie, if you need a banging resume, 805-587-7966 is the number. So be sure to call them. And moving on to the next Pokemon we are going to talk about, I'm going to talk about another one that's kind of in this discussion a lot as this Pokemon sucks, is Lickilicky. Lickilicky is often seen as just a big old fat derp Pokemon that's just like a waste of space, and it just doesn't matter, and it sucks, and it just blah 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 blah. Just basically your typical generally unpopular Pokemon sort of vibes. That's kind of what Lickilicky brings to the table whenever it's brought up, because it seems like most people don't like it. But I have never had a single problem with Lickilicky ever. I really first off, look at Lickitung. Lickitung is very clearly not a normal looking Pokemon. It's not. So if you were okay with Lickitung, which was probably due to the anime because of Jesse's Lickitung, what could you possibly have expected for an evolution of Lickitung? You couldn't be oh, this Pokemon is going to turn into some Mobile Suit Gundam looking Pokemon and it's just going to be freaking bad A. No, it's coming from Lickitung. It's going to be weird. It's going to be derpy because Lickitung is derpy. So I don't know. I just don't know what people were expecting out of a Lickitung evolution. But for as far as Lickitung evolutions go, that's basically about what you could expect, and that's not bad because not every single Pokemon, going back to what I said about Finneon and Lumineon, has to be this Mobile Suit Gundam macho, just ridiculously strong and cool creature. If that was the case, Pokemon wouldn't be fun. There have to be Pokemon of all shapes and sizes. There have to be the cute Pokemon like Finneon and Lumineon, and there's gotta be some derps like Lickilicky. And while there are some derps that I do like, and there's some derps that I don't like Stunfisk, that comes down to how well they pull it off. Stunfisk is a derp Pokemon that I've always talked about my just disdain for, but the difference here is that Stunfisk, in my opinion, does not pull off the derp situation well. It fell into the derp situation because of how just stupid it looks. But Lickilicky is sort of meant to be derpy. At least that's the way I see it. And yeah, there is room for derpy Pokemon. It's fine to have some derpy Pokemon. In fact, we've got to have some derpy Pokemon because we've got to have variety. So literally, Pokemon as a franchise would be worse off if there were not Pokemon like Lickilicky filling their roles and basically sacrificing themselves for the betterment of the franchise. Lickilicky is out here just taking these hits so you can enjoy your Lucario and talk about how cool it is. Because if Lickilicky was another Lucario, you wouldn't think Lucario is as cool as it is. You can't have good without having bad. And even though I'm not saying Lickilicky is bad, that's basically the situation here. It is taking all of your hits, it's not saying a word, and it's just accepting it so you can have your Dragonites, your Lucarios, your Charizards, your freaking whatever else, your Mewtwo's. That is what this Pokemon is doing, and that is as important of a role as anything else. So I think some of you owe Lickilicky an apology. I really think some of you owe Lickilicky an apology. I'm just saying, I'll let you call Lickilicky on your own time and on your own schedule, but I think you should consider calling it or writing it a strongly worded letter of how sorry you feel about it, because yeah. So yes, we probably have time for one more Pokemon before we round off here. And I'm not really sure which one I want to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and talk about one that I was kind of surprised to see, because I really didn't think it was a hated Pokemon. But I found this article from IGN, so it's obviously a bigger publication, and this is all the way back from 2011, so the days of Gen 5, and they basically just had people vote on their most hated Pokemon or their least liked Pokemon. And one that really struck me was Kricketot at number 8. Like, at this time, the readers of IGN had Kricketot as their 8th most hated Pokemon, and I'm going to read basically what they had to say about it. They said, Kricketot isn't so bad. Sure, it's boring and ugly, and, well, that's really it. With so many really cool bug-type Pokemon out there, Pokemon fans have no patience for the boring ones. Kricketot looks like he got all dressed to go to a party and that nobody invited him to. Okay, I'm about to sling some words because every part of that is just disgustingly wrong. And I'm willing to go so far as to say that it's objectively wrong. No, he said the word objective in an opinion-based thing. No, I will freaking back that crap up, because Kricketot is easily one of the coolest bug types ever. Its evolution looks like its evolution Kricketoon is basically a meme Pokemon at this time for its cry. You know that one? But like, it basically has the same stuff going on that Kricketoon does. It just kind of looks really goofy because it's got a long skinny neck and a big mustache. So I'm not really talking about Kricketoon in this sense, although I don't think Kricketoon is bad either, because once again, has the same elements that Kricketot does. But the reason why Kricketot is so stinking good, so good, not just like not worthy of like the hate that it's getting in this IGN article or just in general, but the reason why it's so good, and it easily one of the best bug types ever, is because of how it blends its body as a bug Pokemon and as this just beetle-looking creature with an additional inspiration that has nothing to do with it. If you weren't aware of the fact, and pull up a picture of Kricketot if you want to follow along here. Kricketot, in addition to being based on a cricket, as its name would imply, also has very musical inspirations. And even though just by looking at Kricketot on the surface, you basically just see a beetle-looking type of Pokemon, you just see a generic kind of bug-looking Pokemon, you don't really see a whole lot of extra stuff going on there on the surface. If you take a closer look at its design, it's got music all up in there, but it blends it in to the point where you can't even see it if you're not looking for it. That's how naturally they fit this music inspiration in there. So you look at its antennas. Its antennas are meant to be shaped like a freaking phonograph. And when the first time I saw this, my mind was blown because I'd never seen it for years. And then I finally realized, I was like, oh my gosh. So its antennas are meant to look like a phonograph. Its collar is literally, like, the thing around its neck is literally supposed to be like the collar of a shirt that a conductor would wear. And then it's got its outer shell, the orange part, that's supposed to be like a jacket, like that, once again, that a conductor would wear. And then even its underbelly, even the underbelly that's like just got some lines running down it, even that has meaning, as those are supposed to represent the strings on a stringed instrument like a lyre or a guitar or a violin or something like that. So every single part of this Pokemon, from the tippy tops of its antennas all the way down to its freaking gut, just has music in it. But they do it in a way that you can't see. It's not like it's got a boombox for a face. It's not like it's like obnoxious. It blends it into the regular anatomy of a beetle, bug, cricket type of creature to the point where you can't even hardly notice it if you're not specifically looking for it. That's how seamless they blend this element in that has nothing to do with bugs into a bug Pokemon. Like, that is S tier, absolute S tier Pokemon design. And so calling Kricketot boring and ugly is just factually wrong. Like, that is absolutely factually wrong. I will not apologize for using the word factually. You can take that to the bank, 100%. Its evolution Kricketoon, while it takes a turn for like the ugly in terms of just like its base appearance, it does still also have those elements too. So it does deserve to be commended for that, even though it it does look. I will admit it does look a little bit uglier than Kricketot does, but Kricketot itself, absolute S tier. So if you were not a fan of Kricketot, you are now, because this Pokemon is amazing. And with that being said, that is basically all the time we have. So I want to thank you guys for listening to this very impassioned episode of the Pokeblock Podcast. Hopefully, once again, you guys are staying safe out there. Be sure to subscribe and follow wherever you're listening to the show. We are on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes. I think we're on Google Play too. So we're a bunch of different places. And if you're on YouTube, be sure to leave some comments down below and tell me, what you think of my thoughts. Well, being nice, of course. I tried to be, even though I was impassioned about what I'm saying, I'm not trying to attack anyone in particular, except for maybe those people who just only value Pokemon for their competitive viability. That does irk me. But other than that, it's just Pokemon. It's just opinions. I still love you all at the end of the day, even if you disagree with me. So just let me know your comments down below. And also, let me know of some other Pokemon you might have in mind that fit into this category. Pokemon that are hated that you don't think deserve the hate. And with that said, I'll be back next Friday with another episode as always. You can check me out on my channel as well, Hoops and Hip Hop, if you haven't yet either. There's tons of Pokemon content there. And with that being said, stay safe, have a good week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.